Hi everyone, today we're talking about something super important in every debate, which is defining the topic. In debating, the affirmative team, which is the team agreeing with the topic, must define it. That means explaining what the topic means in plain English so the adjudicator and the audience are able to understand what the debate is about. We don't need fancy dictionary definitions or complicated language, just common sense explanations that everyone would understand is perfectly okay. Let's say that the topic is that Australia should ban single-use plastics. You don't need to define the word Australia because we all know what that is. But the affirmative team does need to define what single-use plastics mean. You might say, in today's debate, when we talk about single-use plastics, we mean plastic items that are used once and then thrown away. These include things like plastic cutlery, bags, takeaway containers, and straws. They're usually cheap to make, they don't break down very easily, and so they end up polluting the environment. We're not talking about plastics that are meant to be reused, like lunchboxes or water bottles, just the ones that are made for one-time use. What about the topic that zoos do more harm than good? When we say zoos in this debate, we mean places where animals are kept in enclosures for people to visit. This might include city zoos, safari parks, and wildlife parks that have animals on display. Some zoos focus on protecting endangered species, and some are mainly for entertainment. We're not including nature reserves or sanctuaries where animals live in the wild with very little human contact. In this debate, we're talking about places where animals are kept in man-made environments and are usually viewed by the public. A good definition is reasonable, in that it makes sense to most people, it's balanced, in that it doesn't make it sneakily easier for your side, and it's clear. It tells us what the crux of the debate is actually about. What should you do if the definition is unfair? Sometimes, but only very rarely, the definition is unfair or sneaky from the affirmative team. That's when the first negative speaker can challenge it. This is called a definitional challenge. But be careful. This isn't something you want to do just because you don't like the topic or you slightly disagree with how the affirmative team have defined a word. So, when can you challenge a definition? If you're challenging a topic, the first negative speaker must very clearly state that they are challenging the definition provided by the affirmative team. They should explain why that definition is unfair, and they should also give their own definition of the topic. And then, just in case the adjudicator doesn't agree with you, you should still rebut the affirmative team's arguments under their own definition. We sometimes call unfair or tricky definitions squirreling. That's when a team gives a weird definition just to make the topic easier for them, and it's against the rules of debating. Don't be a squirrel. A good rule of thumb is, what would a smart, reasonable person think the topic is about if they read it? And finally, when you're defining a topic, you should debate in good faith. That means making sure that each team has a fair and reasonable shot at winning.